Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Today, we are saving homeowners. You guys already know real estate is my heartbeat. I love it as a realtor. I want people to become homeowners, but not to the tune of losing your home. What's the point of getting married if you're just going to get divorced? What's the point of getting a home if you're just going to be foreclosed on? And so let me introduce to you Nadella as we today talk about Blue Hub Capital. The last time we had this conversation, I had a couple people hit me up like, listen, I am a victim. I don't want to be on air, but it is problematic. And I don't know, I needed some saving. And so thank you for the information that you gave today. I will call that number. And so if you are dealing with Blue Hub Capital, today is the day that you have found what you've been looking for. Nadella, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having us on your program. Thank you.
No worries. Tell it like introduce who all is here. We have a full house.
Okay.
And what their role is. Go ahead.
Sure. So I'll start with me. My name is Nardella. I live in Central Mass. I'm a current homeowner with Blue Hub Capital, and I'm one of the homeowners who's advocating our campaign against Blue Hub, and we have allegations of predatory lending against them. And so we have support from Bruce Marks, who is the president of NACA here. And we also have Marcos Morales, Executive Director of Hogar Hispano. We have Cheryl and Dante Ortiz. They are also part of the class action lawsuit and former homeowners of Hub Capital, along with Carlos Verdroma. He is also on the class action suit and can share his experience as well as a past homeowner with Blue Hub Capital.
So who is Blue Hub Capital and what do they do?
So Blue Hub Capital is based in Roxbury, Massachusetts. They have a lot of, they're a nonprofit, and according to them, they do community-based development projects to support distressed communities. One of their models is foreclosure prevention, which they call the Sun Initiative. And what they do is they supposedly help homeowners who are in distress of losing their home or foreclosing, and give them a model to buy back the home through them from the bank, and they're in a new mortgage. Part of the problem, one of the biggest problems is that in a time when homeowners are distressed and really looking for a way to save their homes, we've entered into mortgages that are actually more of a profit to Blue Hub and their mortgage program. And unbeknownst to the homeowner, it causes a major distress on the homeowner when it's time for them to sell or refinance their mortgage. They end up not having the ability to pay the shared appreciation mortgage, or they have to pay thousands of dollars and lose their equity and pay that back to Blue Hub Capital. So it is not a vehicle that generates wealth equity, and it's particularly a program that's targeted to low income and minority homeowners. Therefore, we find it very predatory, very oppressive, and if it were not for this program, there would have been conventional mortgage programs that homeowners could have benefited from and retained wealth equity. This is doing the exact opposite, and we are taking a stand and standing up to these financial bullies.
And if I can add something to this, if I can just talk a little bit about just to take a step back to put in the context of all the stuff that Blue Hub is doing. Let's talk about what is the definition of a loan shark. Well, a loan shark is an entity that is the last resort for someone who wants to save their business, needs money, wants to save their home. So what happens is, if you take a step back, NACA over 35 years ago took on the issue of predatory lending. And what we did is, the first campaign we did was, these contractors stealing the equity out of minority homeowners' homes, long-term homeowners, and they were stealing the equity out of their homes by putting them into sham deals. And NACA took on that fight, won that fight, passed legislation, and we coined the term predatory lending, and that was in Dorchester, Mass. Well, now you look at Blue Hub, which is a CDFI, Community Finance Development Corporation Institute, nonprofit. Well, they're doing the same that any loan shark would do. So let's just go through the particulars a little bit. What they do is they say to homeowners, you're about to lose your home, so we can help you save your home. But the deal is, we have to take your home, that we're going to buy it, then we're going to sell it back to you. And we're going to sell it back to you, and we're going to increase the price by $25,000. So they get it from the lender, then they increase the price. Then we're going to charge you twice the interest rate. And then we're going to charge you $5,000 in closing costs. And then we're going to take, if you ever sell that house, we're going to take 50% or even more of the profits that you would get from selling the house, and we're going to prevent you from refinancing your home unless you pay us massive amounts of money. So now you have a situation where they're guaranteed income. I mean, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars on some homeowners and tens of thousands of dollars on everybody else. So the fact of the matter is, then they will argue, and they say, well, we saved the people from, they saved their homes. Well, that's what a loan shark does, because it's the last resort. The only difference in terms of what Blue Hub does as a loan shark is, when you go to the loan shark and they say, hey, if you don't pay back, we're going to break your legs, or we're going to shoot you in your thigh, but we're going to physically harm you. Well, what does Blue Hub does? Well, Blue Hub, in a sense, is worse. They take your home, they destroy your life, and they claim that they're doing, that they're providing a safety net. And so what you have is, what they promised the homeowners was that, look, we understand that we are, we're making money from you initially, and that you have double the interest rate, but you're going to be able to refinance. So they lied. And then they hid the fact that, we're going to steal a significant amount of equity from your house. And what Nardella and the homeowners have done is they've come together as a group. Over 100 homeowners have come together as a group and organized, and have organized a class action. And we're winning. They're winning this class action, because now the investors who provide Blue Hub with the money, they're walking away. They want nothing to do with Blue Hub. So the only way that they can get money is they go to predatory lenders, high-cost lenders, to get their capital, because no one who is a legitimate business will give them any money. And so the homeowners have done an outstanding job. So that's why we want to say to any homeowner who's out there, join with Nardella and the over 100 homeowners who are part of this class action. And there's over 1,000 as part of the class action, but it's a lead group of over 100. And to join them, so that even if you lost your house, even if you had to pay them off, you can get that money back by joining in and making sure you get reimbursed for the cost of losing that house or paying them off, or you keep your home. But we're winning this campaign, because the more you scratch the surface on these guys, the more predatory and loan sharking they are exposed to be engaged in. So we need people to participate, and the homeowners have done an outstanding job in taking on this entity that is in the loan sharking business.
So hold I don't know who can answer this question, but as far as like the attorney general, like predatory lending is illegal on all fronts. So how has how has it that they haven't been shut down due to our own Massachusetts laws, which we have some of the strongest in the country? How are they still operating?
So if I can answer that is a really good question. So, we want the Attorney General, Martha Healy does a great job. We need her to get very much engaged in this. But remember how this came about in the first place. The head of Blue Hub, her name is Elise Sherry. She makes over $800,000 a year. She was one of the co-chairs of the Attorney General who ran against Baker. And why is her name slipping my mind?
Martha Coakley.
Martha Coakley. Martha Coakley. And so, she had the inside with Martha Coakley, who supported what Elise Sherry was doing with Blue Hub. And remember, it's Boston Community Capital back then, so they had to change their name because they had such a bad reputation. So, the fact of the matter is we need Martha, we need Attorney General Healy to get involved. We need the Banking Commission to investigate, the banking regulators to investigate, because they have all these fraud and subsidiaries that should be shut down. So you're right. They need to shut down this predatory lender.
And I can add to that. This is Marcos Morales from Hogar Hispano Inc. First, I'd like to say that what Blue Hub is doing is called a shared equity program, right? And shared equity programs are actually legal and programs that are used, but not in this instance. I think they're taking advantage of the folks that participated with the Blue Hub program. And the way to shut them down is to continue to do what Nardell is doing now with the 100 homeowners, and hopefully it'll become 1,000 homeowners, because once they have a proven case, then I think it will be able to escalate to the next level, and that ultimately it can be shut down, and ultimately there could be punitive damages that could be paid to these homeowners that lost their equity and lost their mortgage. I'm sure some have already lost their home entirely. And just the word shared equity, if you think about that for a moment, we all become homeowners and our wealth is primarily tied into equity in our home. And as we pay down our mortgages, our wealth, independent wealth increases. And in this instance, what you've done is you've taken a distressed borrower, someone who's panicking and scared and afraid, and you've said, I'm here to save you. They sold them a bag of goods. I do similar activities as Blue Hub. I buy distressed mortgages. And when I say I mean Hogar Hispano Inc., the nonprofit. But we don't do shared equity. What we do in contrast to them is that we forgive indebtedness. So instead of taking a 25% or $25,000 piece of the homeowner's equity, we buy that mortgage. We look at that homeowner. We use HUD certified housing counseling organizations to evaluate the homeowners. And then they describe to the homeowners the program. And then they tell us what the homeowner can afford. And then what we do is then we forgive whatever that difference is. If they're underwater, if they have $200,000 of debt, but the market value now is only $100,000, then we'll forgive that $100,000 and put them at market or close to market. I created what I call 10-10 box. And if you're 10% above or 10% below the market value, our counselors and our servicers approve you. And so we have no interest in the equity in your home. In fact, we give you back all of your equity and even some that you didn't have. And Blue Hub is not doing that. And so even though the shared equity program is a legal functioning program, they've taken advantage of it and gone to that next step and that next level to damage individuals. So just from what I've seen and what I've heard, this will end up going bad for Blue Hub and good for the homeowners as long as you stick to the fight and you bring the fight to them. And once you get there, you make sure FHA and FHFA and the GSEs and all of those folks know what's going on, because Blue Hub has to buy those loans from someone. And now they've lost their soft, easy patient capital. And if we can get them to lose the access to the assets, then they won't have any more way to operate.
Marco, how are you involved? Were you yourself a victim at one time and created the program out of the need, or like how do we find you in this sea of?
Well, it's an interesting. I actually operate. Hogar Hispano Inc. operates a similar program, but like I said, we do not do shared equity. And even if we did, because it is a good way to help a homeowner if it's done legally and properly, right? And so we do what Blue Hub does, but we do it with the homeowner in mind. What I do is, my program is called a foreclosure prevention program. It's not foreclosure saving and equity grabbing program, which sounds like what Blue Hub is doing. We're foreclosure prevention, and we're providing homeowners with the opportunity to stay homeowners without having to share any of their equity and without remaining underwater. And, nobody wants to, yes, you want to be in your mortgage, but you don't want to have a $200,000 mortgage in a $100,000 home, and that's, so what we do is we buy NPLs from HUD and from Fannie and from Freddie, and we buy them with the sole purpose of helping that homeowner. And if we can't, there are some that cannot. They cannot stay in their home. They can't recover. But we don't decide that. The HUD certified housing counselors that we pay to work on behalf of that homeowner do an assessment, and they come back and they say, this homeowner just can't afford it. Whatever the circumstances, they're just never going to be able to bounce back to be able to afford a mortgage. So then what we do is we offer them the opportunity to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure, cash for keys, exchange, relocation. We help. I moved a lady from Baltimore to California because she lost her home, couldn't afford to keep her home, and her sister lived there. Her sons were murdered in her home, and she was shot during that murder, and she could not afford to stay in her home, right? So we paid to move her furniture out, put it in storage, paid the moving vans to move her to California, offered her a home to donate. She chose not to take the home because it was too far from her sister, but we helped her get placed in California. So there's extreme opposites, right? What Blue Hub is doing is all about Blue Hub. How much money can I make, and not care about what happens to the homeowners. What we do is we say it doesn't matter how much money we make. What matters is that we help a distressed borrower remain a homeowner or relocate with a safe landing.
Okay, I do understand. So, Carlos, I hear you have a story to tell us.
Sí, buenos días, buenas tardes a todos. Y gracias, Tayla, por tenerme en el programa. Yo no puedo hablar en español, ¿verdad?
I do not.
Yo sí, pero.
That's not the point, because that is not for me. It's for the listeners that need to hear your voice. So it's take me out of the equation. You're not speaking to me. I'll pick up the bits and pieces that I understand.
Ok, bueno. Yo les voy a contar un pequeño resumen nada más de mi historia con Blue Hub Capital, que antes se llamaba Boston Community Capital. ¿Me pueden escuchar, en verdad? Estoy entendiendo.
Is it possible, Marco, for you to translate?
I can for about 4 minutes. I have to hop off. Pero ya sí nos podemos oír. Continúa si quieres.
Ok, bueno. Mi historia comienza con Blue Hub Capital como a finales del 2012.
My story started with Blue Hub in 2012.
A finales. Mi mi esposa y yo estábamos a punto de perder la casa en foreclosure.
Him and his wife were about to lose his home.
Fue cuando supimos de Blue Hub, hicimos una cita con ellos, fuimos a la cita y ellos nos, bueno, más o menos les entendí yo que lo que podían hacer ellos por nosotros es comprar la casa al banco que teníamos en ese momento y venderla de regreso a nosotros.
At the meeting with Blue Hub, they were told that Blue Hub could buy the bank debt out and then they could sell the home back to them.
En ese momento no entendíamos mucho el inglés, ¿verdad? Ahora entiendo un poco más, pero
He didn't understand
no.
what that meant and what the consequences might be, but now he does.
Okay. Estábamos contentos porque íbamos a mantener nuestra casa, pero realmente no sabíamos qué estábamos haciendo.
Yeah, we were happy because we knew we were not going to lose our home, but we didn't have a clue what we were getting into.
Okay. Bueno, llegó el momento del cierre, todo fue muy rápido, firmamos unos papeles. Yo recuerdo que sin saber, porque en el momento de la desesperación de uno que está por perder la casa, entonces firma a veces sin saber, sin leer los documentos.
So when it came to closing, it was really fast. And they were told, let's just go ahead and close. You don't have to read any of the documents, just sign here, sign there. And so they did.
Ok, bueno, llegó el momento del cierre y todo, ya firmamos todo. Estuvimos con ellos del 2012 a 2019, pagándoles el préstamo a ellos sin falla de un mes, sin pagarles mensualmente. Y recuerdo que te pagamos un interés de 6.37%.
So for 7 years, we did not miss a single payment. We were current, we were active, and our interest rate was like at 6.3.
Okay. Bueno, imaginan que casi todo el pago que hacíamos era para el puro interés, nada de principal. O sea que imagínate cuánto hubiéramos terminado pagando a finales del préstamo.
It was then that we realized we haven't made a single payment on the principal. It was all paid to just interest.
Okay. Bueno, a finales de 2019, pudimos vender la casa por una muy buena oferta que nos hicieron. Entonces, íbamos a tener muy buena ganancia. Por medio de un abogado, hicimos todo el cierre y todo. Pero ¿cuál fue nuestra sorpresa cuando el abogado nos dijo que teníamos una segunda hipoteca con ellos y que teníamos que compartir el 50% de la ganancia de la casa con Blue Hub?
So they were really excited because then in 2019 they had a great offer on their home. They were getting ready to sell it. They hired an escrow attorney to help them through the closing process, and they closed on the property. They sold it. They were going to make a ton of money, and then the lawyer told them, the escrow lawyer told them that, oh, by the way, you have this second, right? You have to satisfy it. So half of your profit has to go to the second. And it was then that they realized that they had this second for that shared equity with Blue Hub.
Bueno, no tuvimos otra opción que acceder porque era la oportunidad de salir de ellos. Tuvimos que vender, eso sí, con una buena ganancia, pero nos tocó entregarle a ellos más de $300,000, para ser exactos, $315,000.
¿Cuánto lo pagaste a ellos?
$315,000.
Wow. So at the end of the day, they closed the deal. It was the only way to get out from underneath the Blue Hub, second and that shared equity. But at the end of the day, they ended up having to give Blue Hub $350,000. And I have to sign off, guys. Sorry.
So we can keep going. Marisa is here. She can help. She can help translate.
Hello.
Carlos, continue. So you were about to make $600,000 off of your house and you had to give up $300,000 to Blue Hub?
More than 300 years, I give them.
For what? Oh, and this is in the paperwork, and all of this is legal.
Mm,
¿Eso está en los
que yo-
papeles y está legal?
No,
sí,
you know,
sí.
we do not think it's legal. We're convinced it's not legal. That is why we are suing them, and that's why we're going to win, because we don't think, we're convinced it's not legal. We got attorneys, and we're going through that process. That's why we're doing the class action lawsuit.
Mm-mm.
And he also stated that there's a lot of fine print that he didn't read or given the opportunity to read.
Wow. Nadella,
No,
go ahead.
disculpe. Sí, yo nunca tuve oportunidad de leer porque, como le repito, no sabía mucho inglés para ese tiempo. Entonces, por la desesperación de nosotros de que íbamos a perder la casa, tuvimos que firmar papeles, no sabíamos.
Right. At that point, I didn't understand. I didn't speak English very well. So, in the desperation to save the house, we just felt that we had to sign this in order to save the house.
For those that are currently going through foreclosure, thinking about Blue Hub as an option, we're saying no to that. And we do have other options, such as Carlos, who was on, Marcos, who does have a very similar structure to Blue Hub, but they actually give back instead of stealing from people. So I asked this for the last time that we had this conversation. Just, I don't understand. There was, and all that fine print, nobody saw nothing about we will steal your house. We can't, go ahead, Nadella. Go ahead.
So, as with most of us going when we sign our mortgages, they have that truth in lending statement that actually has like a breakdown of, what your mortgage is going to be, your payment, this, that, and the other. What they do not do is they do not put the future value or an assumption of what your future equity would be in number terms as if it was a truth in lending statement. So all that you're reading is just documents and words, and they don't even explain it to you at the time that you're even getting your mortgage. So when you're there at the closing, you're really robo signing a lot of papers and initialing a lot of things, and it's buried within the closing documents. And then a lot of people, when I've done my calling with people, they weren't even aware that they had this, because there's nothing in a financial breakdown that's clearly explained and clearly understood to the homeowner what the shared appreciation mortgage is.
And if I can just add to what Nardella is saying, Tayla. Look, NACA does a lot of closings. We do 400 to 500 closings every month. And when you do a closing, you have to, go through all the paperwork, and you have to rely on, the lender to a large extent to provide you with the information, or the settlement agent to really tell you what's in there, because no one reads the hundreds of pages that you need to sign off on when you do a closing. So they hid all this stuff in there. But let's take a step back. When you say, was it necessary for these homeowners to actually go through Blue Hub when they could have gone to the lender? Because the right way would have done it, if I'm late on the mortgage, or a homeowner is later on their mortgage payment, the solution is to modify the mortgage to make it affordable, and not to go through entity like Blue Hub. And what some of the lenders have done in the past, during the mortgage crisis, is what they did is that they'd say, okay, we're going to reduce your outstanding principal, which is what happened with Blue Hub. And they say, if you sell the property for a profit, they'll limit the amount of what they can take. But Blue Hub doesn't do that. They don't limit it. in any way. So what lenders would do is saying, we're reducing our amount by this amount. And if you sell for a profit, we want part of that back. But Blue Hub, and we've never seen anything like this anywhere in the country, says there's no limit. So even though the Blue Hub had nothing at risk, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit, and you can't blame the homeowner. So that's why we're absolutely convinced that we're going to win this lawsuit, and that people around us who look at it, experts say, you're going to win this lawsuit. So that's what we're saying to people, anybody out there, if you have a mortgage with Boston Community Capital, that's what they were called before, they were so embarrassed and their name was so bad that they changed it to Blue Hub. If you have that mortgage, you have to contact Nardella, or you can contact NACA and call our home save department at 425-602-6222, 425-602 NACA, NACA. And, Nardella will give her contact information so you can really get involved and get reimbursed or save your home. But you cannot blame the homeowners, because no homeowner has ever read, or home buyer has ever read every page.
All 482 pages in the 60-minute span. You're supposed to go ahead and hurry up and close.
Yep.
Cheryl, can you share with us, because you worked with Blue Hub, like marketed on their behalf before you realized what was happening to yourself and to others. Give us a brief, description of what did you see? What did you experience?
Okay, well, in 2013 is when we found them, because my husband became disabled. My husband had cancer, and we were in trouble. So they told us how they were going to help us. They helped us through the process. I probably should have known it was a red flag when we were supposed to close on October 31st. And I asked them if we could put it off by a few days because they were doing a biopsy to stage my husband's cancer that day. And they said no. There was no choice in the matter. We had to do it that day. So we did. We got a ride into Boston and we did sign the papers. But then we kept our house. So, you're believing these people are all nice and they're going to help you. And one of the things they had said was, when I questioned the high interest rate was, oh, don't worry, you're going to refinance at the year point. You can refinance and then you won't be paying that high interest. You'll lower it. You'll be all set. Well, at the year mark, when I tried to refinance, I found out that I couldn't refinance because they explained to me that it was like a bankruptcy. It was a short sale. You're not going to refinance. You need to wait 3 or 4 years. And again, I think it was a red flag, but you're just believing the best of people. So I said, oh, well, they've been really good to us. They wouldn't hold us to that. They'll help us out when it comes time to refinance. So we did. We went on TV for them. And we explained how, they had basically helped us to save our home in a really bad time, and that they were really good to us. And, they helped us through this whole process. And then the day came to refinance. So when we were finally able to refinance, and at the same time, think about it, we go in, we sign all these papers, in the midst of a waiting for, is my husband going to live or not? And for the next year, my husband spent most of that year in the hospital. So again, it's like your mind is someplace else. It's not thinking about somebody taking advantage of you. And so when we were eventually, it was past the 3-year mark, almost the 4-year mark, when we went into refinance. And that's when the company said to me, you didn't tell us the truth. You have a second mortgage. And I said, no, I don't. You don't know what you're talking about. I do not have a second mortgage. And they said, you absolutely do. So then, again, believing, well, Blue Hub isn't out to hurt me. They told me they're there to help me. I call and say, what's going on? So then they tell me that I need to pay them 52% of the equity in my home. but they had told me I could refinance at the year mark, but that wasn't true. Now it's 3 or 4 years later. And how do I do this? What am I going to do? What we ended up having to do, because I was so desperate at that point to get rid of them, because I realized they were nasty. I tried to negotiate with them. They said, absolutely not. You will pay us the last penny or you will not get out from under us. And so we basically took a loan out on a property that I inherited. We took a loan out on that property in order to pay them off because we didn't have enough equity in our house to be able to pay them off. So we were going to be stuck.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. So even though you didn't, like, they wanted 52% equity, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 52% equity with a minimum of, like, I'm not understanding how they wanted more than the equity was worth.
So basically, when you refinance, you can't refinance more than 80%. And so they said that they were going by the amount of an appraisal, which I said to them, that appraisal isn't full value. So basically, say at the time they said our house was worth $205,000. They had sold it to us for $140,000. But they were saying that they were basing it on 120, I want to say 128. So that's what they said. From the 128 to the 205, it was like $80,000. But I could only get a mortgage on the house for 165, I think it was. So they said, no, but I had to find a way to pay them the $40,000 they wanted. So I took a loan out on the other property because I said, we will never get out from under these people.
So if I can add one more thing, and then I have to run, Tayla, but I just want to say one last thing. Remember, what you're hearing is that they put it in place that any homeowner is impossible for them to refinance. Because if you have to pay them 52% of the equity in the house, you have to borrow that money. And if you borrow that money, that means that the mortgage you would get would be unaffordable. So they have structured it that the only way you can get out is if you have any other funds from any place else, or you have to sell your house.
And so that's the entire point. That when you go to their website, in the upper right-hand corner, it says the investor portal. That they don't want you to get out. There is no get out.
Right.
And I'm surprised. So I came into it thinking logically, right? Thinking that it was like you were getting out the 50% or 52% of the equity that you can acquire. It's like, nah, it's not what you can acquire of the appraised value. And that's Mark. Yeah. Bruce, can you please tell me,
yes,
when is court?
We've been in court. We are doing discovery now. So we're, going to do discovery, and we're going to depose Elise Sherry, their CEO, their staff people, of which a lot of them have left because they were so fed up with the way that Blue Hub does business. We're going to be deposing the investors who are fed up because they said that we thought we were providing money, at a below market rate because of the good work, quote unquote, that Blue Hub told us. So they were defrauded as well. So we're right in the middle of discovery, and discovery is a great thing because they're under oath. You can ask them all the questions that they need to be asked, and they're telling us we were scammed as well. So that's where we are. And as we said, that we feel very, very confident that we're going to win this, because this is the definition of predatory lending, loan sharking, that we've been fighting against at NACA for over 36 years.
Thank you, Bruce. That's Bruce Marks of NACA. For anybody and everybody that knows, NACA is the program that is nationwide that can help you purchase a home. Bruce was out here doing amazing things during the election. He went ahead and rented or bought vans and was transporting people to the polls in Georgia. So thank you, Bruce, for all that you do and have continued to do. I recently took a NACA class, and in the class, they play like this 5-minute video. Yo, I was so emotional in the video. I was like, oh my gosh, because they show you like the history of predatory lending and Bruce showing up at bankers' houses and executive directors of banks and asking them questions and them running away and like literally, you know, taking the system down. So Bruce, like, when you coming over to the police side? Because we need help with the we need help with criminal justice, Bruce.
So look, I have to tell one quick story that happened last week. One of the people that work at NACA here in, we're based in Roxbury. She was late. It was 7 o'clock. She was racing home, and she was stopped by a police officer. She's African American, and pulled over for speeding. And she told the officer that she was working for NACA, and he says, "NACA, oh, my secretary purchased a home through NACA. NACA is awesome." This is a white police officer. She got me on the phone with the officer. She says, the officer says, "Look, you guys do great work. Put your license away. You're fine. And let's get the word out to other police officers about NACA so they can purchase a home through NACA." So what's great about us, with 3,000 members, we have a lot of support, not just within the police departments, but where we need it, where people are doing the work, and they support NACA in all kinds of ways. So just as Taylor, just to finalize, the NACA standard is no down payment and no closing costs at a below market fixed rate without consideration of one's credit score, and that should be the national standard. People should not be prevented from home ownership because they work hard, but they don't have the savings, or they're subject to restrictive underwriting criteria. And that's what we're doing across the board nationwide. But thank you very much for having me, and look forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you, Bruce, for working with the families that are victims of Blue Hub. Dante, I want to make sure that I get you, because we have not heard your voice, but you are here. So please tell us a little bit about you and your story. Dante, I can't unmute you for you.
Okay, I did it now. Yo soy el esposo de la doctora Cheryl Ortiz. Traduce.
Oh. That's my husband.
Yeah. Y es como ella dijo, nosotros hemos pasado mucho con esta gente porque no han cogido de bobo.
It's like she was telling you that we've gone through a lot with these people. They took us for fools.
Yeah. Estábamos bajo agua en una laguna y nos enviaron para el océano.
We were underwater drowning, and what they did was they shipped us off to the ocean.
Yeah.
I can imagine that translates better in Spanish than it does in English. But I love that. We were drowning, so they put us in the ocean. So I'm sorry, Dante. Did you want to say something else?
Sí, pero gracias a Dios que encontramos a esta compañía ahora y
I thank God that we found these people that are actually trying to help us now.
So you all are still going through the plight of Blue Hub. How? I thought you already took the money out on your other property to pay them off. What?
Oh no, yes, we did. We're out from under them, but it's, when you look back, it's kind of like you're still stuck because you're stuck paying the mortgage that you were paying all along, and you're stuck paying this other loan. So are we really out from under them?
I got you. I got you. So, all right, really quick questions. So, discovery. We're in discovery now as far as legal is concerned. What about former employees? And so Bruce made a mention how like former employees are out. Are they being part of the conversation to kind of get like an inside outside strategy going on? Anybody?
So we don't know the particulars about the strategies with the attorneys. They are putting together a very good game plan. And that will include past employees. We do know that the former general manager, who a lot of the homeowners had complained to about Blue Hub and the shared appreciation, has since left. So that person had left since we had filed the class action suit. So they are definitely someone that we are looking to speak with, and then a few other of the past and current employees. But we really want the homeowners to come together and to speak up, because it was through my speaking up and challenging Blue Hub after I tried to negotiate my mortgage with them and they turned me down flat. I've been with them now going on nine years, I think now. So they turned me down flat, and I said, if this can happen to me, who else is this happening to? And that's how we found all of these homeowners who are upset, didn't feel like they had a voice. And
How did you find them?
I found them through looking at their filings through the land records. And I just did some searching. I did some shout outs on my Facebook, and I wrote people letters. I shared my story. I'm still with them. I'm not happy. It's not allowing me as a minority homeowner to use my equity to put back into the community. And they're just stealing from the homeowners hand over fist. And it's only until I spoke up and said, this is not right, and reached out to homeowners, is that homeowners have responded. And we are committed. We are steadfast. Our numbers are growing. And I thank you and Marcos Morales for giving us a platform, for Bruce supporting the homeowners, because our homes mean a lot to us. They are our legacy. And had we known, had there been some truthfulness, this would have gone in an entirely different direction. But we are dealing with a predatory lender, and we are committed and steadfast to taking them on.
Good. So we are going to continue to follow this story because they are based right here in Roxbury. There are thousands of homeowners that have been affected. And so we are going to continue this conversation and spread the word. So if you know somebody or know somebody who keep complaining, maybe you don't know it's Blue Hub, but they keep complaining about the situation that they're in, let them know that there's a predator out there and you might be a victim, and take a look at this show and see if there's anything that you can get help with. And it sounds like even if you're not a Blue Hub victim, that you can still, it looks like Marco can still help you either way.
Yeah, we're definitely working, and he is a supporter and ally, and we're trying to get as many resources as we can from other nonprofits like Hogar Hispano to say that this is wrong, and that homeowners can try and find alternate solutions, because we don't want them trapped in these predatory mortgages. So
And
if you're out there, please email me, Nardella_5@yahoo.com.
And
Love for you to
again, for
join us.
listeners, because we got listeners on the radio too. So give it again. NARDELLA_. That's the line that looked like the line you're supposed to write on. yahoo.com. And so if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who is going through predatory lending with their mortgage company, please contact NARDELLA_5 I thank you guys for continuously fighting and really proving that it works in numbers. When you come together and work together as one, you may not be able to defeat them by yourself, but being able to, you know, partner with others, you can come together and really see change. So
Tayla, thank you so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate this time. We really do. Thank you so much. And you can also call NACA 617-250-6222. Tell them you heard about the program and you want to learn more. And again, thank you, Tayla. Thank you so much for giving us this time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Dante. Thank you, Carlos. And thank you, Nardella. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I want you guys to all be able to make informed decisions. And if you made a decision that you're not properly informed of, this is the time for you to go ahead and work together with other homeowners in order to, like, stick it to the man for real. The woman who's over here stealing and was in Martha Coakley's side pocket. And so there's some political, somebody was getting somebody's hands raised somewhere, if you want to believe it or not. But I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Do not forget, while we're over here talking about home ownership, Finally Home, the step-by-step guide for people preparing for first-time home ownership. I wrote the book. And I wrote the book because a good 60% of my time I spend speaking to people who are interested in purchasing a home are completely uneducated on process, on understanding credit, understanding their savings and budget and what is important. And it's because these are the conversations that were not had when we were young. These weren't tableside conversations. And our parents are just now learning the tips, tricks, and truth about credit, the history of predatory lending when it comes to people of color, Latinos, Asians, Black people in real estate. And so Finally Home can be found on the website, TaylaAndre.com. Everything Tayla Andre. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tayla.
Anytime.